While students will be participating in a traditional school setting, some systems, procedures, and events such as assemblies, recesses, and lunchtime may have to remain adjusted to be compliant with public health guidelines. Although we are excited to welcome back our students in an in-person setting, we understand that in-person learning might not be for everyone. RUSD has a K-12 independent study program as an alternative to in-person learning that will be offered to students whose health would be put at risk by in-person instruction as determined by the parent or guardian. The program requires students to change schools while participating in the program. But independent study students will be able to return to in-person instruction at any time during the 2021-2022 school year. If you are interested in enrolling your student in the independent study program, please contact your school's principal or administrator and they will assist you with the referral process. Independent study will be offered at the following locations:
Welcome to the Rialto Unified School District. I'm sorry, John, go ahead. I'll start all over. Welcome to the Rialto Unified School District regular meeting of the Board of Education for September 8th, 2021. Let's see, opening call to order, 6 p.m. And comments on closed session agenda items. Any person wishing to speak on any item on the closed session agenda will be granted 3 minutes. Dr. Avila, do we have any?
We do not have any.
Okay, I need a motion and a second to move into closed session, please.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. As provided by law, the following are the items for discussion and consideration at the closed session of the board meeting. Public employee employment, discipline, dismissal, release, reassignment of employees per Government Code 54957. Student expulsions, reinstatements, expulsion enrollments, conference with labor negotiators, agency designated representatives, Guatemala Avila, Superintendent, Rhea McGyver Gibbs, lead personnel agent, personnel services, Rhonda Kramer, lead personnel agent, personnel services, employee organizations, California School Employees Association, Chapter 203, Rialto Education Association, and Communication Workers of America. Conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, paragraph 1 of subdivision D as in Delta of section 54956.9. 157-05319 versus Rialto Unified School District, United States District Court, case number 5:19-CV as in Charlie Victor, -863-JGB. Yeah, JGB, B with a boy. Okay, that's enough. All right, vote all at once. Can I hear the ayes to move into closed session?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? None. Okay. Time 6:02. Okay, we are at adjournment of closed session, and we have to come back. So we adjourn temporarily and then come back at the end of the session here. Can I have a motion and a second to temporarily adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Okay, all at once, the ayes? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed and abstains, none. Okay, so we are back. Open session reconvened at 7:09. I apologize for us being tardy, but we had a lawyer in the house. Good thing and bad thing. I'm smiling, folks. Okay, let's see. Would you please, Edith, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Special treat for
Please stand. Hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Dr. Avila, anything for report out of closed session?
We have nothing to report.
And adoption of the agenda. Do we have any polls, any comments or anything? Okay, hearing none. Did you want to pull an item?
Yes. Item E.3.12.
Okay, Dr. Avila, Martha, we're pulling Echo 312. Let me make my notes here. This isn't,
Perhaps we should pull it once we get to the consent calendar items and adopt the agenda as it is.
okay, that's fine. The question remains, is this time sensitive? Dr. Avila?
12, yes.
Okay, okay. When we get there, then we'll ask that question again. Thank you, Vice President Montez. Excellent catch there. Okay, we are going to adopt the agenda, but there will be a poll of E312 when we get that far. Okay, anything else, Board? All right, motion and a second to adopt the agenda as we have it.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. And Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Ms. O'Kelly?
Aye.
Clerk Lewis?
Aye.
Vice President Montez?
Aye.
And aye, unanimous, thank you. We do have a presentation tonight, Special Education, Supports and Services for Students with Exceptional Needs. Presentation on providing supports and services to ensure equity and excellence for students with exceptional needs by Ms. Bridget Ely, Lead Services or Lead Special Services Agent. Ms. Ely.
Good evening. Okay, gotta get my thing. Good evening, President Martinez, Board of Education, Dr. Avila, and viewing audience. My name is Bridget Ely, and I'm the lead special service agent. Tonight, I'm going to go over a brief overview of special education and the supports and services we offer our students in the district. As you know, special education is mandated by IDEA. And so what we have here is what special education related services are. Special education, support, and related services should not be viewed as a separate model. but instead as part of the continuum of supports and services, accommodations, and modifications created to ensure that the general education environment is responsive to the diverse learning needs of all students. Working together, the general education staff and special education staff can ensure equal opportunity and full participation and increase outcomes for all learners, including students with exceptional needs. The goal of special education is to get the majority of our students to be serviced in the general educational classroom, which we call inclusive education. Again, inclusive education is both a philosophy and a practice. As a philosophy, inclusion is rooted in the belief that everyone belongs and everyone benefits. Not some students, not most students, but all students. It is the conviction that each child brings unique strengths and gifts to the classroom. It is the rejection of labels, which creates educational outsiders and insiders. It is the recognition that a system that excludes isn't equitable for all. Inclusive schooling lays the groundwork for inclusive schools. So as I said earlier, special ed is mandated by IDEA, that's the Individuals with Education Act, Disabilities Act. And what they do is what IDEA mandates that the state provides reports to them every year to make sure that we're implementing IDEA as regulated by law, okay? So what we have here is our state performance plan indicators. As you can see, there's 14. The orange will tell you the targets not met. The blue will tell you the targets that we met. Okay, these are the indicators that govern special education. So we have, again, graduation rates, dropout rates, state assessment, discipline, least restrictive environment. And we talk about the least restrictive environment, that is always the student's home school. We talk about preschool least restrictive environments, preschool outcomes, parent involvement, disproportionate representation by disability, timely eligibility evaluations. What that is, those are initial evaluations to see if a student qualifies or who are eligible for special education. And then we have what we call timely Part C to B. We have to assess all of our students before they're at 2 years, 10 months, before they turn 3, and to be able to go into our preschool programs. Then we have our secondary transition goals and services and post-secondary outcomes. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over a few of the ones that we have not met, but what I wanna show is that how well the district has improved with the principals and the teachers' support. So here we have the graduation rate. Our targeted graduation rate through the indicators is 90%. You can see over the last maybe 4 to 5 years, we steadily improved. We had a slight dip last year, most of that due to some of the pandemic. But as you can see, we're still improving. I'm pretty confident in a year or so, we will meet that 90%. And the 90% is mandated by the state. They set the target rates for us. And as you can see, there's a continued climb. The secondary principals have done a really good job in improving that. Here we have the statewide assessment proficiencies for ELA. Again, we haven't met our target, but what you can see is a steady climb and improvement. Over the last 3 years, we've improved. We've made significant jumps. We're still not meeting the target of 15%, but as you can see, we're moving up. And the reason why we have only the 2018-19 data is because of the COVID. We didn't take assessments in 2019-20 or last year, especially for elementary, only the 11th graders. And the same thing with our statewide assessment for proficient in math. As you can see, we're continuing to go up. I think that the principals and teachers are doing an amazing job. They've received a lot of professional development. I know they really enjoyed a lot of the PDs that we did with Ann Benningoff, Innovate Ed, has really helped them target, and you can see the improvement in the math scores also. Okay, when we talk about the least restrictive environment, we have 3 categories that they regulate. They want to know how many the percent of students that are in the gen ed class more than 80%. Again, our target was 52%. We made that, we're at 55%. And I know that we've increased a lot more, so I know that the percentages will go up. And so that's the number of students, our percentage is 55 in the regular classroom, more than 80% of the day. Then we have in regular classroom, less than 40%. We call these our segregated programs, and most of our students in these programs are in our SDC mild moderate or mild severe programs. And as you can see, our target is 21%, but you can see a slight elevation at 28.94%. And the reason why that's going up is, I'll go to the next slide, is because we've returned a lot of our students from non-public schools and our county programs. So you can see here, these were the percentage. We were at 1.85% of our students were in segregated programs in 2015-16. And now you can see we're at 1.7%. 3 years ago, we had over 140 students in county programs. We only have 67 today. We have 21 who are in our preschool classrooms. So we returned the majority of our students, and the ones that are still there, we're going to be building programs in the next 2 years to support them. They have more of our more severe needs, so it's going to take a while to build the facilities to address those needs. And then also with our non-public schools, about 3 years ago, we had over 45 students in non-public. We are now, I think by last numbers, we had 24 that are in non-public schools. And again, some of those are in residential settings, which are services that we provide for students who have more social-emotional, who need more social-emotional supports, where they live in residential facilities outside the state of California. And here you can see our eligibility evaluation. Again, this is for an initial assessment. IDA wants 100%. As you can imagine, we want to make sure we get all kids assessed within the 60-day timeline. And again, you can see the increase. So we're almost there. We're at 98.99. I think we got there last year, but they didn't give us that. But I think we're pretty confident that those numbers will continue to rise. Again, the commitment from the principals and the teachers to get these things done, and the school psychologists and the speech therapists, all the evaluators, has been tremendous to make sure these services get provided in a timely manner. Okay, so what we have here is our special education programs. We have 29 schools that offer specialized academic instruction. We have 12 SDC preschool programs. We have 4 behavior support programs, 5 autism programs. We have 11 elementary schools with special day classes. All our secondary schools have special day classes because all of our students at the secondaries are at their home schools. And again, that is the least restricted environment, and that's where we want all our students to be. We're not, at the elementary, some of the students don't go to their home school, but what we do is try to make sure they go to their feeder school or the school closest to home. We have now 4 adult transition programs, and we offer extended school year every year. And those are for students who have more severe needs that need the extra support during the summer. Okay, these are our new programs and services. Over the last 3 years, we've been able to open up 10 inclusive elementary schools. They're Trapp, Boyd, Garcia, Werner, Simpson, Dunn, Dollahan, Eubanks, Fitzgerald. I know I'm missing someone. Somebody's gonna get upset. I think I can't. I don't know if that was 10, but we have, the principals and the school sites have done an excellent job in opening and running those programs. It's not an easy thing because you have to consider all the needs of our students and you have to service them all in the gen ed. And we're talking about students who came from our mild moderate program, and we have some of our students from our mild severe in the gen ed classes in the elementary schools, which is pretty amazing. We have 4 inclusive preschool programs that Karen Good and her team started this year. I think they're going to be amazing, and hopefully we can get, I want all of them, so I think that's the goal, to have all of them inclusive. We have 1 intensive behavior support program. And when I say intensive support, these are for students who the ABA's put together a really solid program over at Myler. and Kylie and her team are doing a really good job running that. We have, when we talk about intensive behavior, these are some of the students that our non-public schools will not support. So what we had to do is provide our own service in district. We have about 3 group homes in the area that have students with pretty significant behavioral needs. So we created our own programs to support them. We have 2 SDC new moderate severe programs. We have 14 certified literacy interventionists, and those teachers that are currently here, they spent over 200 hours. They had to take a national exam to get their certification, and they're pretty much at the highest level for being able to provide support for our kids who have reading disorders. Another name for that would be dyslexia or reading challenges. In 2018-19, we returned our occupational therapy services to district from the SELPA, the same for the physical therapy. We hired, we have 11 applied behavioral strategists. We have 11 therapeutic behavior strategists, 6 education emotional health therapists who provide services. And we expanded our workability and transition partnership program. And what we mean by that is we used to place the students in the community. Now the students work within the district, and we support them. So we had personnel, had students working with them, safety, Gordon's team supported some of our students, risk management, fiscal, transportation, nutritious services, our department. We had school sites to step up, and we'll talk about that a little later. And then we opened 2 movement centers in the district. Okay, so the social emotional support we brought in because for like 2 years in a row, we were considered disproportionate for our African American students and our white students. We were overqualifying them in the area of emotional disturbance. And so what we did was we brought in a team of social emotional support to provide the interventions and services for the students would not have to need special ed services. So when you're talking about disproportionality, what they're saying is what is missing in the gen ed setting? What services do the students need? Not all students who have need some social emotional supports need to be in special ed. We can treat that, we can support them without providing services. So the district, we hired, again, we have 11 therapeutic strategists and 6 emotional health therapists assigned across schools to provide social emotional support and mental health rehabilitative services. The TBS programs offer proactive supports for reducing behaviors in the form of intervention, such as social emotional learning groups and classroom presentations. So they do go directly and support our SDC mild moderate class and all of our students who have intensive behavior supports on their IEP, along with the ABAs. And what we've done with them is by putting the services in place where we were disproportionate for our ED students, we now have over 50% of our students identified as emotionally disturbed being provided services in the gen ed setting. We have our social emotional learning groups. They're effective for both preventative and early intervention as they provide targeted social emotional learning in the key areas needed for school and life. So what TBS offers they offer an 8-month psychoeducational program where they go over 4 different modules for like 6 to 8 weeks. Those modules are self-esteem, grief and loss, moral reasoning, and they teach the kids the skills. So they bring them in and they teach them the skills they need for school and life. And it's for all students, just not students who receive services. So they do support the students in the gen ed also. And when I looked at their numbers last week, over the last 2 years, they've probably touched and put hands on over 9,000 students in the district. They do classroom presentation. As of today, they had like 120 that they've already done. And these are prevention services that serves as social emotional learning tools to promote a healthy and inclusive school climate. So when they go into the classroom, they present to all the school students. We're teaching them, again, about moral reasoning, just having good character, doing the right thing, and giving them the skills to effectively communicate and collaborate with their peers. Then at the last, we have our emotional health therapists. That's a tier 3 direct services for students on IEPs. And they do clinical case management for all students. And with clinical case management, that's where they help parents. They assign resources They help parents get resources in the areas of whether it's finding places to stay, helping their students provide some type of treatment center. They do a number of things. They're an amazing team. And so they do that for all students, including students who receive services. We have 11 applied behavior analysis. And again, the ABAs, they provide behavior support in the area of ABA for all students who receive special education services. They collaborate with teachers and service providers in writing behavior goals and plans. They provide classroom recommendations to support classroom behavior management. They assist teachers and staff in implementing social skills curriculum. They training staff and parents, and they assist and provide direct social skills instruction to all students on the autism spectrum and with intellectual disabilities. So they do a lot, and all of the ABAs are board certified behavior analysis. Those are like the highest levels of behavioral recognition that you can get outside of a PhD in ABA. They developed a lot of programs, and again, they're responsible for building a lot of the new programs that we have to support our intensive students. So this is our movement center, a picture of our movement center. I gotta get this right, so I told them I would get it right. So the movement center was created to provide OT services and provide opportunities for our students in segregated classes. It gives them an opportunity to move safely in a safe space, so they can learn to self-regulate their bodies. In the city of Rialto, we don't have any gym emporiums for kids or anything like that. I think the closest one is in Rancho. So what we decided to do was we'll build our own to help our students, because with this, it helps them give the foundational skills necessary to use their fine motor skills and their gross motor skills to be able to be present for instruction in school. And so that's another picture of them. And again, the Movement Center gives our kids opportunity to play in a safe space, learn their bodies, and just work on all those fine skills and gross motor skills that they need to be successful in the classroom. And what we noticed was when we put them here, this is at Warner Elementary, and they provided for the whole school services and supports. Ayana has done a really good job in making sure all of the students had access to it before pre-COVID, in addition to our students who receive services. And it's just a safe space for a lot of students to learn movement and how to self-regulate their bodies. Yes?
Do you have a staff member in every movement room? I mean,
Yeah,
is
so
somebody
the-
runs it all day, or?
Yeah, so we have the occupational therapists, as you can see, Danielle, we have 5 of them, and they do go in there to support and provide the services and teach the students and help them with their movement in spaces. Yes, we do have the staff. And this is extended, oh, sorry about that, I gotta go back. Uh-oh, sorry. So this is extended school year, and with the extended school year, we've made it very highly structured, but it's an opportunity. We want to have the skills. The students in this extended school year go there to work on their goals, right? These are students, if they missed the summer, could not recoup the information that they had lost, they had gained from the previous school year. So we bring them in and we still work on the goals. But what we do is a lot of hands-on activities to support the students, right? And here, this is a bubble run where the kids get to play. I don't think you're ever going to see them line up like that, so straight. But again, that's what play does, because they want to do it, so they're going to participate and they'll learn how to line up, follow instructions, and just play, you know, and to engage. And a lot of our students who have language deficits, this is a way that they start working on their language and starting to communicate and build friendships with students. And then here, I know this is what we call Touch a Truck. We do it every year for the students in this extended school year. And what this does is give the students an opportunity to learn, right? I know we see it as just them going out there touching a truck, but what they're learning is about tires. They're looking at colors. They know all the trucks. They learn more language just out there with all the different trucks. There's fire trucks, UPS trucks, police cars, just regular big rig trucks out there. There's a lot of them. They get in the trucks, they learn who drives the trucks. So in one day, they've learned so much language and it just helps them build that foundation and that memory of language. And it's just a good way, and you can see they absolutely love it. It's hard to get them back to the classroom. The teachers probably don't like it after that because they're so excited. And so here again, we're extended school year. This is our high school Montsevier program. And again, our job is to teach skills on how to take transportation, it's called travel training, to destinations. And then we took them to the movie theaters. And the reason why, it's a fun activity. We have to do some, we have to teach them how to navigate their community, how to learn different activities for they can do at home after they leave school. And so what we do is we do a lesson. The teachers do a lesson. They teach them how to order. They had to purchase their ticket. They had to buy their food. They had to communicate with the all the people on the bus. They have to greet. So they learn so many different skills. And we have our speech therapists going out with them to work on all of those communication skills to meet their needs. So it's actually a very fun activity. So these are the things that we did during COVID. So we want to ensure that we have given all the kids access. And again, a lot of our students, it just wasn't enough for them to sit on a computer. They need a lot of manipulatives to learn. So as you can see, we filled up one of the rooms with boxes, and we bought all kind of manipulatives where the teachers could work with the students through and with their parents to engage the students. So you had magnets, all kind of books, you had the accessories, magnetic boards, I mean, you name it, they had it. All of our students in our SDC mild moderate K-5 programs and all of our SDC mod severe programs received a bucket of supplies to help with the learning while they were doing COVID, while they were online doing Bridge Academy. And then also the occupational therapists, I don't think we have a picture of this, but they gave all of our students who are identified with ADHD a bag of sensory items to help them self-regulate at home and to be more attentive on the screen. And this is our in-district transition program. This is one of our students. She's working down at the registration. Again, we thank Pilar and her staff for allowing us to have our students down there. And as you can see, she is very serious in her job. So they do get paid. They did do 100 hours. And so they do get compensated for their work through the workability grant. And again, we had students who were working at school and in risk management, and Derek Harris demanded that all his employees wear shirts and ties, so we had to go out and purchase shirts and ties. So we did purchase all the clothing for the students through the workability grant. Transportation was extremely nice in picking the students up with the TBS workers, and they actually took them to the stores out in Rancho, Ontario. They were shopping. And they actually went to the stores, tried the clothes on, and purchased it for them. And we appreciate Diane and Derek's and Muhammad's help with that. And then I think this is one of the students, I want to say that's Garcia Elementary, working down there. And this is our student. He wanted me to make sure I let you guys know he is a graduate of Eisenhower High School. It took everybody to get him. You know how you get to the end, you kind of give up. He said, he sent a text to one of our therapists, and he said, tell them I never thought that I would make it. He is now currently to graduate, and it took everybody, every counselor. I know Ms. Cuevas was the ESTs, the TBS workers, because you know how they get at the end, I can't, and he did it. Now he is a full-time employee at UPS, and so he's super excited.
UPS, that's awesome.
Are there any questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
I'm excited about all the new programs that have come about and the continuance of some of the things that have happened over the last 2 and 3 years. In reference to the workability program, have we and are we have we and are we connecting parents not only and giving more information about the workability program, but then the next step about how they can also transition their kids into some of the programs at the community college as well, so they can get either certificates or things of that sort? And are we doing that? And
Yeah, so that is part of the transition goals. So each student has their own transition goals, but I'll be very candid, that is one of my goals. That is the work that TBS will be doing moving forward. And that is to incorporate the social emotional learning in improving college and work readiness, right? And then because we have to follow students for 2 years, they will even continue to follow them after. That's why they're still in touch with Brandon, the student, because they still keep in contact. They just check in, see what he needs, like he needs help navigating certain things because kids still have questions. So that is a program that we are working on. Matter of fact, should be up and running in January of this year. And again, the whole part is to do activities at the school sites, to bring parents in, to help them. We want more of our students who receive service to apply for college. We want them to know all the resources they have in just career opportunities they don't know. And so that is the job of the TBS now. They used to connect with community-based. Now their goal is to connect with different companies like Amazon, Google, Microsoft. Like Microsoft does a training for students on autism that would to help them work in the workplace. And so we would like to bring them in and work with them to say, how do we get our students prepared? So that is our next major project. It should be going in July, and we will follow them for 2 years after. And that looks like just checking in, text message, you okay, you need something, and things like that.
okay, well, I'd love to hear about once it's up and running,
Oh,
you know, how it's
absolutely.
going and everything from that. So,
Absolutely, no problem.
Thank
Well, I'd like to thank you for this presentation. I think special services, how did you word it? Exceptional students. And that's our goal. I think this has really turned a page on the new era in Rialto. I like the proactivity, and you're hitting all of the age groups. It gave me flashbacks when, with my son, they didn't have cell phones then. I had to make a scrapbook before we went out to dinner. We're going to get in a car. We're going to go here. You're going to eat here. All those steps. And to share this with parents and to share this, that we really feel that everyone have an academic and emotional pathway, and you're gun-ho, so thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate that. I'm excited. Any other questions? Nobody? Yes.
How do you guys plan on addressing the shortcomings on the slide where some of the areas weren't met?
So with the graduation rates, again, TBS, along with the teachers and the principals, we will help with monitoring that, making sure the students have all the supports that they need to make sure they graduate within 4 years. That is the goal. So for the indicators, we have to do it in 4 years, right? So the goal is to make sure they have all the supports they need. Even for our students in our mod severe program, we don't think they should have to stay till 22. They should have the option to leave at 18 if they like. And again, the ABAs are in the mod severe programs, working with the teachers and giving the kids the skills that they need. For students on the spectrum to get direct social skills training is a lot, because usually that's not something that is allowed, granted for students, just because there's so many. And then so in the areas of our academics, well, Dr. Evers trumped me, he hired 65 reading specialists, so that should help tremendously. And they did the same Niehaus program, reading program, so if we get early education involved, we'll do that. And another one of the projects that we want to start in the next year or so, I've been working with Dr. Madrid and Karen Good on this, is we want to open up an early education center. And we will start working with kids from 0 to 5. Because if we can catch them very early, then they can come in prepared. That's to just ensure that equity. When you talk about, what was the other areas we weren't? The least restrictive environment. Again, my goal is to have all the elementary students, schools to be able to provide SAI in the gen ed class. That will be up by next year. That will be the requirement. Our middle schools are already starting that. I know Carolyn Idy has already started moving some of the students in her STC programs into the gen ed classes. The high schools also. I've met with Frank and Robin, and I know Dr. Sweeney will be on board to start moving our students from the STC mild moderate program into the gen ed. What we have to do is make sure we have the supports in place. We have to make sure we have the interventions in place, the classes. We have to create the classes, and that's a master schedule, and we just put them in there with the right supports. Because when you have segregated kids for so long, they've been segregated for a long time, they have big, huge academic gaps that we have to focus on. And for the IEPs, the evaluations, again, that's just being on top of staff saying we got to get 100% because they just don't allow that. So what we are going to do is we have what we call our self-evaluation forms where we'll start. Matter of fact, I think they start in a couple of weeks, where we'll go out and pull 2 teachers' IEPs. We'll do it both in the fall and the spring to make sure we're writing appropriate IEPs and they're being held on time. And so I think the principals, again, they've done a really good job in improving in that area, trying to see what other one we had.
How can the board help you, support you with getting what you need, the resources and support that you need to improve like, for example, the IEPs, for example?
You know, I think just encouraging to get them done. You know what I think we've improved a lot, and I didn't put the IEPs up. They've improved a lot. Just making sure we still communicate with staff the importance of that, the importance of having them done on time, because when they're not done on time, the students lose out on services, right? They're not the right services. They should change every year. So that's what I would just do, is just have a level of accountability system for those when they're not turned in correctly.
I think you have to get the assessment in a timely manner, because you just don't want an IEP without the assessment. And part of the holdup was the assessment was done and the IEP was done like the next day. The parent did not have a chance to process, did not have a chance to look at the resources. The teachers didn't really have a chance to review the assessment and put a plan in place. So you don't want an IEP on time that means nothing.
Absolutely.
You know, you have to have that child assessed, and children are children, so they can't take long testing hours. So sometimes it's a series of testing to get all the information, and some have comprehensive, like OT have to do assessments, psychological assessment, the medical assessment. All these things have to take place. So I think if you have a realistic timeline, so you're not just repeating the same IEP year after year without any progress, that's not really worth having it. So you want to have quality. I think, do you have enough staff for psychologists and the testing part in your OT? We've been contracting out, right, with more OT, PT services and
No, we
those, or
contracted
what?
out for SLPA support and for LVNs. We need more nurses. And then I know that we're going to be flying positions. We're going to be personnel, if they haven't posted, they may have already posted the LVN positions for we can hire our own. But I will say I want to thank you because you have been very supportive in hiring all that staff. We do have 30 speech therapists, and I know we need 2 more. So that helps too, when you guys are always in support of giving the staff that is needed at the school site. But you're right, we do need to make sure that we have appropriate IEPs and that people understand it enough to be able to implement it in the classroom. And that's the reason why we need the supports for the teachers. And they have had a lot of trainings. They will continue to get more professional development, like the knee house training that Beth just put on for all teachers. That helps because this way the students don't have to be pulled out for services. They can stay in the gen ed class. Right now they have a better understanding how to teach students who have reading challenges and just a great foundational skill. So that helps tremendously. A lot of the supports that are being put in for the gen ed, that helps us because that's where we want our students, and we want to make sure that they get all the access they need to their education, because right now they're pulled out for services. And again, special ed it's not a place, it is a service. So our job is to teach specific skills and keep the kids in the gen ed class as much as possible, and just to give them access and opportunities. Okay. And then I meant to tell you, we do this, the self-assessments when we do the self-reviews. That is data that will be going to innovation, and I'm quite sure Dr. Avila will most likely provide that, and that'll tell you how we're doing with our IEPs. Just like Ms. Lewis said, is to make sure that the IEP is written correctly, to make sure the kids get the services they need in the classroom.
Make sure it's written, period.
Well, and if I
Well,
may
they do
add,
that.
Bridget, Mr. Montes, to address your question more specifically, I think the board has already granted or extended the responsibility for us to take more accountability down the road. I think you have approved, as you know, all the resources, the support, the staff, the programs, that now it's simply a matter of when specific to IEPs being done on time and being meaningful for kids and not just kind of going through the motions with those IEPs, that I have already tasked Dr. McDuffie, Dr. Chavez, to make sure that we not have one IEP that's not compliant. And so the support that you have laid out for me is making sure that we have accountability systems throughout the district and that we hold our ground when it comes to making sure the staff is doing what it's supposed to do once they're provided the training, the supports, and everything that they need to do their job.
Absolutely. That helps.
Anything else, board?
No, just like to thank Bridget, tell her great job.
Oh,
so
thank you.
very
I
much.
appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Have a
Ms.
good
Ely.
evening. Not gonna, okay. All right.
Okay, we continue with comments. Public comments not on the agenda. At this time, any person wishing to speak on any item not on the agenda will be granted 3 minutes. Dr. Avila?
We do not have any not on the agenda.
Okay. Public comments on agenda items. Any person wishing to speak on any item on the agenda will be granted 3 minutes.
We
Dr.
do.
Avila?
We have Phil Black.
Welcome. Up to the podium, yeah. Into the mic, please.
Good evening, everyone. School board president Martinez, superintendent Avila, impact team, and I'm sorry.
Raise the mic, please.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. But viewing audience, I want to thank you all for allowing me to speak here this evening. I thought it'd be very important to be here and share a little bit about myself, the program, why I started it, and why I believe we can partner with Rialto schools and impact the community. For those who are not familiar, Coach Black and I started the Manhood Project in 2011, November 2011 to be exact. Started with just a small group of 20 young men as a pilot program on the east side of Detroit. And I did so in response to what I saw on the ground while working with an organization called City Year. And that organization, while they did some amazing work in the community, I recognized that there weren't many programs that spoke specifically to African American and young men of color and their needs. And so with that pilot group, I was able to work with them for 20 weeks and create what has now become a program in the state of Michigan where we service well over 300, nearly 400 young men in our community through partnerships with several districts, including Detroit Public Schools and the city of Detroit with after-school initiatives at our Northwestern Activity Center. And I started the program personally from my own experience because I am, like many of the students that we work with, I grew up without my dad in the home and impacted my life tremendously. That was probably the most prevalent on September 27th of 1997 when I nearly lost my life. I became a victim of gun violence. And it was at that moment, sitting in the hospital, where I had to make a decision, which was to either be a liability or asset to my community. And so with that, I moved forward with my idea to give back. And I'm happy to say that we've grown tremendously. We now have, as you see, a curriculum that services not only a specific group, but all boys of need. I believe that our partnership would be very beneficial in understanding that they're not just buzzwords when we talk about trauma-informed care, we talk about social-emotional needs, but they're actual tangible things that need to happen, which is why I understand that just showing up in, while it's important and helpful to share your own narrative with students, there are specific skills that need to be implemented in order to help them to move forward. And so with that, being able to share my information, and we were able to develop and partner with amazing individuals like Mr. Wisman, Dr. Griffin, and Mr. LaSure, I know that we'll be able to help this community. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Oven?
Yes, next we have Jeffrey Wisman.
Okay. I was just thinking, the network executives would be chomping at the bit, losing all that time on the air. Mr. Wisman, welcome. Good to see you, my friend.
Welcome, sir. Thank you. Distinguished board members, Rialto Unified School District, Dr. Avila, thank you. I'm kind of out of my element right now, but I came to talk about the Manhood Project. I've been a teacher for 21 years in this district, and I love what I do. It's not a job, it's a calling. I've never seen a program as powerful as this. This is reaching out to our kids and our men with not only character ed, but teaching them what it means to survive and be successful in this world. I've been working with Coach Black for a little while now. We launched the program this year, it's new, but the kids are buying into it, and I, in my heart, again, I don't have a speech ready, but I want to say this is one of the most powerful things I've ever seen, and it's important because without the socio-emotional, you can't have the academic. And I know that as a teacher, I know that in my heart, you got to reach the kids first. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Pardon me, guys. But I thank you for your time. They asked me to come and speak tonight, and I'm proud to speak on the Manhood Project. It's something that's very powerful. It's what we do anyway, but now we have kind of a framework to build on, and Coach Black is the best, and I love where I'm at. All I want to say is I thank you for your time, and I want y'all to really consider this program because I've been at this a long time, and I know the fact that if you reach their hearts, you get the academics and you get everything else involved in that. And so I wanted to brag on that program a little bit, and thank you guys for your time today. And I'm just honored to be a teacher here, and I think it's powerful for our guys. And we're going to try to bring a female version of this program in, but for the men, it's powerful. The guys are buying into it. It's awesome. You're seeing a change in behavior. We always do anyway at Myler. They come one way and they leave us another. So I want to thank you guys for your time, and just want to say that I really would hope you guys consider this program. It's well worth it, and I thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it, y'all.
Thank
God
you for
bless
your
you.
recommendation.
God
and,
bless you guys. Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Any more, Dr. Avila?
That is all we have.
Okay. Comments from association executive board members. Rialto Education Association. Welcome.
Hello, distinguished board, Dr. Avila, and staff. It's so good to see everyone tonight as usual. I just wanted to come in to say hello. Thank you for everything that you guys are doing to keep us moving through this time of COVID. I also wanted to take time to say thank you to all of the wonderful staff that is out there working right now, certificated and classified. I've been visiting sites and checking everyone out, and I'm just so appreciative for all the teachers to see how they are all coming together, helping each other out. They're even emailing me to help their neighbor out, like, my neighbor has this going on, can you help them? So I just really appreciate all the teachers right now, all the families that are giving the teachers all of the positive support on the school campuses, and just really for our teachers. They're in there. We're almost, 4 weeks, 5 weeks into the school year. Everyone's getting settled in. So I just wanted them to know that I really appreciate, and REA appreciates all of their hard work, and we appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving thus far. We know that this is the first time for everyone to go through a pandemic, so a lot of things have to be worked through, and it takes a little time, but we just appreciate you guys. And like I said, I really appreciate the teachers and all the classified workers that are out there, and even how the classified workers are jumping in and helping the teachers on the campus and the administrators. So just want to say hello and thank you to all the educators out there, the whole team as a whole. So thank you, and you guys have a good night.
Thank you for those positive words. You too. Okay, communication workers, oh, I'm sorry, California School Employees Association. He's usually in here by now.
They wouldn't let me in. Thank you, Saida, for wiping that down for me. Good evening, Rialto Unified family. I'm Chris Cordasco. I'm the CSEA Chapter 203 president. Tonight, I want to talk to you about an experience that I had on August 27th. Our labor relations representative and I toured the sites in response to many emails, phone calls, and texts about the workload and the working conditions in our school's front offices. In the day, we were able to visit approximately 17 school sites. It's scary. There's the COVID situation, what's happening in our school sites in regards to students showing up with symptoms and what that entails for what the protocols that we have to take to ensure that it's not spread takes a lot of time from our staff. At the conclusion of that tour, we met with the district and were able to have a very positive and professional conversation about needs and wants. Obviously, I know and realize the district is doing the best they can, but I definitely appreciate them listening to us and working with us to achieve a goal that would better services to students as well as better the safety for staff. It's awesome to be able to work with the district towards these goals. Next week, I will be attending my first regional presidents meeting for the school year, and I got to tell you, it's a good feeling to be the one president at the table that gets to brag about what's going on in his district. So thank you. That's all I have for tonight. I'm just looking forward to getting some resolution on those items and getting them in place. So.
And Dr. Avila, you are working on that?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
President. Take care, Mr. Cordasco. Okay. Communication Workers of America. Welcome.
Good evening, Honorable Board and RUSD staff. My name is Teresa Hunter. I'm the AVP for Substitute Teachers with Communication Workers of America. And this is Heather Estruck, who is the Chief Steward for Rialto Unified. And we're just here this evening just to acknowledge and approve the tentative agreement that we have come to with Rialto Unified School District, which you will be looking at shortly on item number F. And so we thank you in advance for your vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay, Rialto School Managers Association. Dr. Griffin, welcome.
Good evening, School Board, President Martinez, Superintendent Dr. Avila, Innovation Team, and members of the Rialto Unified School community who are in the viewing audience. My name is Dr. Kyla Griffin. I am the proud principal of Myler and Zupanik, and I am also the Vice President of Legislative Action for the Rialto School Managers Association. Just wanted to provide the board with some updates on our activities. September 1st, we began collecting donations for supplemental clothing items for the clothing tree. We have a surplus of pants thanks to the classified employees in the district, and so we are calling on school managers, well actually anyone in Rialto, to donate shirts and sweatshirts to give to the clothing tree. School community members or anyone can donate at 187 East Walnut in business services or to at the registration center, because I don't know the address by heart. Please forgive me. I'm a little nervous, even though I saw you guys at graduation. Okay. And also, our first social event, we have on October 1st, the Carter versus Eisenhower game, our annual tailgating event. So it is a neutral, rooting event there to celebrate both teams in action. Okay, all right, Mrs. O'Kelly. But we highly encourage all Rialto School community members, but especially our RSMA family, to participate. So we hope to see you there. Thank you so much for your time.
Question.
Yes, sir.
On the donations, new or gently used?
We want our students to be recipients of clothing items donated with dignity, and so we're just kindly requesting new items for our students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public needs to hear that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, comments from the superintendent. Dr. Avila?
Yeah, just to add a little bit to that. So the expectation this year is that all of the attire supplies that our kids receive through the clothing tree will be new. We want our kids to really experience the smell of factory clothes that come with new clothes. We have received some lightly used clothing that we have forwarded to Goodwill and other nonprofits for use, but we want our kids to really have the experience of receiving new products.
Excellent.
With that, just want to thank Bridget and her team and really the entire district for all that we have done to bring about the change in special education. We realize that there's still room for improvement, and we're looking at those items, including today before the board meeting. I met with Dr. McDuffie and Dr. Chavez to look at other pieces of data and set some expectations moving forward to make sure that we don't find ourselves in the situations that we have been in the past in very specific areas within special education. And so thank you, Bridget and the team, for bringing about the change. And just for clarification, we know that some time back there was also a request to receive an update on the Big Map report that was produced some 7 years or so ago, and the strategic plan that came from that, a strategic plan within special education. We are ready to, within the next week or so, to finalize the report. It will include some of the items that were presented tonight, but it is a lot more extensive and specific to the items that were included in the strategic plan for special education. So I just want the board to know that that's something separate, but it does overlap to some degree on some of the items. Also, I just want to share with everyone happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Looking forward to some of the celebrations that some of the schools will be having to recognize Hispanics, Latinos here in the community. Also, echoing what Maisha said earlier with respect to the spirit of positivity and collaboration amongst the staff and community. But I want to take it just a little bit further in that I've never felt the sense of community as I have over the last year and a half. And I believe that usually in times of crisis, times of adversity, is when we should become more united, more than divided. I believe as a superintendent, I have not, the way that public education is structured is almost structured to be combative. And the things that we have done over the last few years with staff and really getting to the body, soul, and spirit of things, the heart, as was mentioned earlier, it has really forced our district to break through some of those imposed barriers that would otherwise have us competing as adversaries, where we have turned corners, broken through these physical barriers, emotional barriers in some cases, and have really sought out to see what we can do for our neighbors, for each other, as opposed to just looking out for ourselves or the special interests of only one particular group. So I'm very grateful to be a part of this district, this community, and I know that we're going to continue in this journey, and hopefully our goal is to really transform education within our district and maybe it will be the starting point for transforming public education overall, because as many institutions are being challenged right now through this crisis, public education should not be an exception. And we're going to do what we can to really continue the effort that we started a few years back, knowing that we are very capable of doing this, and I can only see where this district is going to be in 3 or 4 years. So staff, please know that I understand that we're all working under a lot of duress, a lot of pressure, a lot of adversity, but I appreciate you focusing more on the needs of each other to really find ways to overcome those challenges that were really brought before us. It's not that we asked for COVID and all of its regulations, but those are things that we must navigate together in order to continue to provide a great education to students and services to our community and to each other. Also, for those who are eligible, especially our teens, the pandemic is not over, so I'm encouraging all of those who are eligible to receive the vaccine. I respect your position on this, but I would encourage you to get it for the sake of community more than just individual. We do have a clinic scheduled for this Saturday at Rialto High School. At what time, Derek? 10 to 2 for all eligible residents. And so we're encouraging those who have not been vaccinated yet to please attend the clinic and receive the vaccine.
Not just for students, but
For the community?
everybody.
It's for the entire community, yeah.
Which vaccine will be available?
Pfizer.
And also today, I met with Congresswoman Norma Torres along with some of the staff. She wanted to hear what some of our local issues, needs are for her to be able to advocate at her level. And we did share a lot of the good things that we're doing, the direction that we want to go in, but also the needs for, for additional funding, for additional programs, given the shortage of teachers nationwide, and us pursuing just things that are different, that I consider different in public education, and her offering the opportunity to maybe pilot some of these things at a national level. And so I'll have follow-up conversations with her to see what she can do or the federal government can do to support the direction that Rialto is going in.
I'm sorry, I think it's important for the public to know which vaccine is going to be available. I know a call went out before the school board meeting. An automated call went out giving details about the vaccine.
Yes.
Which one is going to be available?
So for 12 and up, it will be the Pfizer, and then the Johnson & Johnson single shot will also be available for those that are 18 and up that choose that.
Thank you.
And that is all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Avila. Okay, comments from members of the Board of Education. And let's start with Ms. Walker. Looking lovely tonight. Nice top.
Thank you, Joe. Good evening, everyone. I'm just glad to be back. I had to miss the last meeting, but it was for a good cause. Raised $50,000 for additional scholarships, of which Rialto students are beneficiaries. I've got 7 Rialto kids who are receiving some scholarships from our foundation. So I'm so excited about it.
Thank you.
But with that said, just ditto about the vaccines. You do not want your child coming home with COVID, and whether you know it or not, several months ago, my daughter actually caught COVID because she goes between 2 houses. She caught COVID, was asymptomatic, so luckily her dad had symptoms. He went and found out he had COVID, then called and said, guess what? Got COVID. And I'm like, you need to come pick up your daughter. But we checked her out. She did have COVID, but she was asymptomatic. So she was quarantined, the whole shebang. Months later, fast forward to now, when they have vaccines available for 12 and over. And so just last month, when they became available and I asked her, I said, hey, before you want to go back to school, do you want to get vaccinated? Because I'm like, she's going to say no because she's 13. And she said, yeah, Mom, when can we go? So surprising. We went right over there to one of the parks, Jesse Turner, and got the vaccine. So she's fully vaccinated. She's 13 years old, but she started high school this year, and she started fully vaccinated. And, I'm still very afraid because there are kids now who one of her friends in her little friend circle has COVID now. And so just to understand that that's as easy as it can spread. So families, please, if you are not, please encourage everybody in your family to get vaccinated. For whatever reason, I was a skeptical, I was a skeptic at the beginning as well and had all my reasons. They were illogical, but I still had all of my reasons why I wasn't going to get the vaccine. And I did that because I felt about what is my responsibility to my family and to my community. And then I actually got fully vaccinated as well. So I'm preaching now to folks because I've had 2 people that I'm close to come down with COVID, be hospitalized, and luckily they came back from the brink, but really are still suffering from the effects of COVID. And that's real time, very close to me. And luckily it wasn't a death, but just to understand that young people, they're carrying it, they're asymptomatic, but they're bringing it to us old folks, right? And so please encourage your kids. It's free. Make a day about it. Let the family all go get vaccinated who all can. And we have one at our school site, so I think it's a very convenient thing. And if you can't find it at the school site, they're doing them every day all over the county. So I just encourage everybody to do that, to keep our schools as safe as possible as well. And thank you to all the staff who actually still work every day, knowing that those conditions, they're uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know who has it or anything like that, but that come to work every day to do their job, to educate our kids. So community, families, parents, students, let's do what we can to ensure that those numbers go down and that we're not a part of, that we're part of the solution to ensure that, we come back better from this pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Okay, Ms. O'Kelly, coming to you.
Yes, well, Mr. Walker touched on a very sensitive subject for me because I'm, pro-vaccine all the way. And my oldest daughter recently moved to Florida, and things are not good down there because, he tried to ban vaccines down in Florida. A judge has recently said that's a no-go. You can't ban them. But Governor Ron DeSantis. And remember that name.
She was
You'll
trying
see
to
it
keep it.
again.
He answered, who's he?
And anyway, but the state of Florida is in bad shape because they're very they don't believe much in COVID or the vaccines or anything, and the kids down there are getting COVID faster than anybody, and there are lasting side effects from getting this disease. So I can't emphasize. My son-in-law, who just moved down to Florida, has COVID, and he's been very, very sick from it, and horrible. And he and my daughter didn't want to get the vaccine. I don't think she's my daughter anymore, but anyway, take it from people who have some experience with it. It's not anything anybody wants to mess with. So, and I also would like to say thank you to the wonderful staff of the Rialto Unified School District for carrying on and doing such a good job and starting the school year off great. Everybody's happy. We're just hoping everybody stays safe and we can finish the year and have a real graduation this year. Thank you.
Real graduation. I like that. I believe that's June 8th. So set your calendars, board.
I think it's June 4th.
It's in June.
Yeah. I know this because it's always on my grandson's birthday.
And this one's going to be an all-dayer.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to see all my 25,000, well, less than that, just seniors, up on the Jumbotron again. Yes, it's at the arena. Love it. Okay, Clerk Lewis.
Yes, I just want to bring your attention to the Paralympics. The ceremony closed, and I just the inspiration when we talk about our special education, exceptional students in our services. Dr. Atalava, messed up your name, but he gave Avila. So he gave me a book that one of our students wrote, Rat Boy Lit Goes to the Zoo. And it was such magical thinking. And, you know, his pictures here. And this is talent. He's an author. He's on Amazon. He has his YouTube. And, you know, he found his calling. He raps and sings and writes books. And I was so happy to receive this book. I read the book. I went on his YouTube, his website, and just seeing how we have to instill the potential. And when I was on the website, I saw how the media, you know, assisted him and took pictures. And so Rialto School District has been promoting his dream and developing his dream. And that's, we are dream makers. Teachers, school district employees, we're dream makers. And so we have to continue that proactive planning instead of reactive. And, you know, this is a lightweight mask for me. I'm really gowned up and I wear masks like 24/7. But with all these variants, our goal is to try to maintain a school year. Right. And it takes all of us working together to maintain our school year. We can't control a virus, but we control the things that we have in our toolkit. So I'm so glad about the school site having the vaccination clinic. I know the front office staff and the different more extra, everyone's going the extra mile, but our schools are open. You know, each week our school stays open. Each week we're putting 110%. Parents are, I was at the market and they were giving out free test kits, you know, and at our school, like, parents, pick up those COVID test kits, you know, swab them when you think they're having a fever. You don't have to guess, you don't have to wait. They're giving free test kit for you to have available at home. Take advantage of that. And I'm just really excited that we're moving into September and October and November and December. We're just planning, but we still have to be vigilant about, you know, never letting our guard down. Right. And you know, it's going to be more work, but we're working and we're open. So thank you for sharing this book. Thank you for the special ed, and let's keep making dreams.
Excellent. I like that. Vice President Montes, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Board President Mr. Martinez. I don't have a whole lot. I just want to say ditto to a lot of the good things that were already said. I just would like to remind everyone to stay calm, stay collected as much as possible. We're still in a very stressful time for many people. I have heard from people in the community who are asking, why haven't we closed the schools down yet? I've heard from other people who are saying, thank you. And I understand everybody's position on what we're going through. I just want to encourage our district leadership, our school site leadership to continue to hold the front lines and give the people that are in the trenches the support that they need. Some of us, like board members, for example, might not have to deal with a lot of people. There's other people who do, and maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to every now and then check in on them, not on their students, not on their classroom or how they're running their class, how they're teaching, but check in on them, or you know, our safety and security staff or maintenance staff, check in on them once in a while and see how they're doing. Not just what they're doing, but how are they doing. We're going through a lot of difficult times, and on the flip side of that, we also need to maintain focus on other important things. Because of COVID and all of the responsibilities that come with the regulations and the mandates, let's not lose track of, let's not neglect other things that are also important. Students with disabilities, special education. Let's continue to focus on providing the best services that we can as a school district to these children with the most needs. Bullying, let's continue to work. You know, just because COVID, we can't let that be our main focus and overlook everything else. Of course, safety is number one, but bullying is part of safety. And you know, if you've got a child who's coming to you, let's not be quick to say, oh, they're just being dramatic or whatnot. Let's take a look at some of these cries for help, because sometimes that's what it could be. Not only on the receiving end, but sometimes on the giving end. You know, if you got a child who's acting up, who's bullying other kids, it might be better to help that child than to help all of the other people who are being bullied by that child. But just continue to, I know it's difficult and it's hard and it's easy for us to sit here and say, do this, do that. But thank you for everything that you guys do day in and day out. We'll continue to try our best to keep our schools open for as long as we can, as safe as we can. And if anything changes, I'm sure we'll be the first to know. So thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vice President Montez. You know, I want to start with good news. And with that, it comes to our staff. Today, I saw the video that was on nutrition services. Just amazing. If you haven't seen it, it's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, probably on the district website by now. And just a quick shout out to nutrition services. They happen to be on the front page today. Any other day, it could be any other group. And everyone is stressing right now. I've touched on it before. And if you're on the front line, security, the office staff, anyone, even on the phone, I mean, I'm stressing. How's it come out? I'm yelling at you. I feel for you, because I used to get those phone calls as a service manager right after Christmas. It was tough. I know how tough those calls are. So just keep it up. Thank you. Because it's going to take all of us to get us through this. I'm asking again, as everyone has asked you before, try and get your shot. It's in the arm. It's nowhere else. So that's a positive part. I saw two important things, but they're tough things. At least the second one is. The first one is on education and how, and it really hits the core right now because everyone wants things to get back to normal. And let's see, redesigning work for a hybrid future. Every so often, something seismic happens to the way we work. The invention of electricity, the invention of the internet, the global pandemic. The pandemic created a sudden shift with lasting impact. Pretty soon, work will go back to normal is one side. That's what we all wish for. But the pandemic demonstrated that many of our work assumptions are archaic and unnecessarily limiting, and now beg for reinvention. The hybrid workforce strategies are here to stay. Executives who reimagine where, when, and by whom work gets done are in a better position to generate both business outcomes, talent outcomes, a win-win for organizations and employees. But first, you have to pick your journey forward. They may be talking about the shop, even though it's not really here. And acknowledge the risks of not adopting a hybrid working model. Reinvent work around a human-centric design for the new hybrid environment that ensures performance, innovation, and equity. Getting it right requires experimentation, learning, and iterating. the reason I'm even bringing this forward, it has to do with work. But what are schools doing but preparing students for work? The work of the future will be hybrid. It won't be what Grandma and Grandpa knew or what your mom and my age group knew. It's going to be what our third graders and fifth graders know, hybrid. And that's going to be work. Maybe not for everybody. But when I look at it and I think about it real hard, teaching will eventually go to hybrid simply because of the numbers. We don't have enough teachers as it is. We can train, well, I was talking to, and this is decades back, one teacher who moonlighted as a professor online, taught 3,000 students. And that is after a full day of work. I'm not saying that that's the workload coming, but I am saying that hybridization has been here for decades. We're just unwilling to recognize it. It's coming, it's going to leave you behind if we don't get up to it. The work of the schools is to prepare young minds and young bodies to endure, to foresee, to do the best for their families and themselves. I'll get back to this thing, so I'll get through it. Your future. Option 3, out of 3 options, of course. Create a new model based on the hybrid environment that reduces fatigue by 44%, or 44 points. Increases intent to stay by 44 points. And they're talking about the job, the task. How would this board create something, or a corporate board create a job that it encompasses this? Boosts performance by 28 points. I go back to teaching online, 3,000 students instead of under 30, hopefully. Teach employees to use formal and informal networks. Existence of groups within or across business units isn't always obvious. Teach employees about the network that exists and how to access them. Conclusion: going back to the work model that prevailed before the pandemic is a step backwards. And your organization can't be resilient without rethinking strategies like hybrid workforce models. And for this board and for this school district and every school district, strategies to teach our students hybrid workforce engagement for the future, which begins a year and a half ago with the pandemic. Now the bad news. The World Health Organization says COVID will mutate like the flu and is likely to be here to stay. And this is published Tuesday, September 7th, updated, blah, blah, blah. I got it off Twitter, but I think I saw NBC was the original. Yeah, there it is. Rich Menendez, NBC, CNBC. Okay, key points. COVID-19 is likely here to stay with us. As the virus continues to mutate in unvaccinated countries across the world, and previous hopes of eradicating it diminished, the World Health Organization officials said, people have said, we're going to eliminate or eradicate the virus. Ryan said, the newsman, no, we're not. Very, very unlikely. COVID-19 is likely here to stay with us as the virus continues to mutate in unvaccinated countries across the world and previous hopes of eradicating it diminish. Global health officials said Tuesday, and quote by Dr. Mike Ryan, I think this virus is here to stay with us, and it will evolve like influenza pandemic viruses. It will evolve to become one of the other viruses that affect us. And Dr. Mike Ryan is part of World Health Organization Health Emergencies Program. So with that, I conclude and I like the hybridization model going forward. But whether I like it or not, it has to stay if the virus stays. Okay, board, we're up to the task. So here we go. Okay, public hearing.
Move to open public hearing?
Second?
Thank you. All right. Interesting. I don't see what the public hearing is about here.
It's on the next
page.
page.
Okay. Form for public disclosure of proposed collective bargaining agreement, AB 1200. Pursuant to the requirements of the governmental code and board policy, the form for public disclosure of proposed collective bargaining agreement, AB 1200, statutes of 1991, chapter 1213, as revised by AB 2756, statutes of 2004, chapter 25, Government Code 3547.5, between the Communication Workers of America, CWA, and the Rialto Unified School District Board of Education is hereby posted, sunshined, in compliance with the legislative requirements for public notice. We had public comment from CWA earlier. Any other public comment?
Well, we should vote on opening the time, and then if no one else has something to speak.
All righty, here we go again. I did this 2 meetings ago. Okay, motion and a second.
Callie first and Ms. Walker second.
All righty. We did that, so vote by board members. Let me hear the ayes.
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, any abstentions? None. 8:35. Thank you, and that opens it. Any other comments? Seeing none, hearing none. This is to close public hearing.
Move to
Motion.
close public hearing?
Second.
Thank you. And vote by board members all at once. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, hearing no nays. Any abstentions? Hearing none. Time, 8:36. Consent calendar items. All items on the consent calendar will be acted upon in one motion unless pulled by Board of Education members or the superintendent for individual action.
Move to approve the consent calendar?
Would like to pull one.
Okay, have a second?
Second?
Thank you. Okay, Clerk Lewis, go ahead.
Would like to pull E.3.12, that this class is a mixed class with community members, parents, students in the evening due to our COVID situation. It's indoors. We need to hold off until things could be safe. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Dr. Avila, is this sensitive to a timeline?
It is with respect to the agreement. The class has already been in session. This was opened up initially when all things were looking very promising. And we thought that it was a good gesture to reopen the class for the families, for students and members of the public who wish to be a part of it. So this is really a ratify to be able to pay for the services rendered up to this point. I know Derek's office, myself have had conversations in the past whether or not it was safe for us to proceed. At that point, it was determined that with proper measures we could proceed with the course. We can revisit the topic to see how things are at this point in time, to see if it's best for us to put pause. But with respect to the contract, I would like for the board to consider moving it forward so that we'd be able to pay for the services rendered up to this point.
Okay, what is your pleasure? If you wish to amend it, it would be appropriate if you wish to.
I think we should amend it, just because we had to cancel parent nights and all other types of activity. So I'm not sure how the amendment will be stated. Maybe you can state the amendment for us.
Would you,
Well, I would just like to add that the, and I've attended some of these practices. The doors are open on all ends of the bistro cafe. The AC is on and plenty of airflow. Everyone wears masks. They maintain more than 6 feet of spacing.
But you get going pretty good in this dancing, and that means stuff flies out.
Well, I mean, they wear masks, and the other thing I wanted to mention was currently it's a small group of about maybe 15 parents and students. I don't know when or if it'll grow, but when you're talking about back to school night, 1,000, parents and students in one school, it's completely different. But whatever the board would like to, whatever direction the board would like to move with this is okay with me. I've made it to a couple classes, and I just wanted to share that
okay.
it's very well ventilated.
Is it once a week, twice a week?
It's a weekly. But again, the item on the agendas for the contract for payment, with respect to the courses themselves, I can work with staff and determine whether or not, again, we need to pause and then resume once it's safe to do so. But I would appreciate or ask the board to consider at least approving the agreement so we can pay for the services rendered up to this point and have it ready to go when things are safe if we move forward with going, with pausing it for now.
Okay, so we could approve it with a prorated cost up till now?
I'm sorry?
We could approve it as a prorated cost up till now?
It's already written that way. It's already written that way. It's-
Yeah, not to exceed.
Yes, but that is through June of next year. So a prorated cost, meaning if we stopped it now and paid for the services, that would be the proration.
The verbiage in the contract still already allows for that. If the district determines that no more classes will be given, then no more classes will be paid for.
Yeah, and again, I would revisit the conversation with Derek tomorrow. I know in the past he gave some very specific guidelines to be followed, and they have been, from what I understand, up to this point. But we can revisit that tomorrow.
Okay, and I give it so much credence because it's one of my board members, but this board member happens to be a nurse. And that's why, in case the public, is concerned. What is your pleasure?
Well, I'm fine. I just don't want us to say you can approve this parent group and then another activity because of the pandemic. If there's a contract, class has been held and you need to pay for that contract, fine, but there's no limit on how many people can come. And
Right.
this doesn't say that. And
Yeah.
so, with the mixture and vaccines and things like that, if it's an outbreak, what's the liability?
Right,
Because they
exactly.
do trace your contact. So, however, the superintendent I'm fine with that,
Okay, what about something like cap attendance to 15, or if that's whatever is current, until you bring something else before the board?
And it's already capped, but again, I think operationally, that's something that staff can do and work out the logistics of that tomorrow outside of the actual contract that's
Okay.
before you.
My concern is that this person, this entity, gets the full amount. Okay,
No, they're paid as services are rendered.
okay, got it. Okay,
Do we have any other services that are being rendered for any other types of groups or?
At this point, no. Most of our meetings right now are back to Zoom or Google Meets. We do have some meetings in persons for very smaller groups, but all the other groups in general, we've asked that they conduct their business via Zoom or Google Meets.
In regards to classes, besides sports, or is sports the only one?
Sports would probably be the only one.
Okay. I'm in a quandary here, and I'm going to share it with you, because bylaws state, board policy states that superintendent or board member can request a pull, yet it's time sensitive. I'm not sure what board policy says as to that. Is anyone aware of that?
And just, I'm not aware of either, but the pull is so that we're not, as part of the consent agenda, but that we'll discuss it separately from the consent agenda, of which we're doing right now. And then we can still go ahead and move forward with the action as a separate item, and then cast a
Excellent.
vote as it is. I just want to say the points that Dr. Avila brought up, and then Edgar even emphasized as well, is that, you know, they bill after, right? And so that if they're pausing the services, they're only gonna, they should only be billing for services rendered regardless, and then we're paying on services that are rendered. And I know as a vendor in districts, there's a whole compliance agreement that you gotta, you know, mandate anyway, and the minute things change in districts, contractors have to abide by whatever the district mandates are, because we're quote unquote still an arm of the district. And so all those things, and I'm sure this entity is watching everything that the district is doing, because they have to move and do the same things. The last thing is that this is not a mandated program, and so for those people who may feel that it may be risky, they have the choice not to go. It's not school. It's not it's not compulsory. So just being that piece. What I don't want us to do is, I know Stephanie, Board Member Lewis, that the concerns definitely from that standpoint. Board Member Montez has attended those courses, and he's, I'm assured that what you're saying is happening as far as what that the capacity, right, and the space they're using from that standpoint. What I don't want is for us to shut everything down because we know that some of this is about people being able to connect and have release, and these are families, and these are parents and families that are attending these courses, and if they have that opportunity to do so in still a safe environment, and we're still monitoring, regulating, kind of what our vendors are doing out there, that I don't want to close that off to us. But I think the next step probably would just be making sure that if somebody, Board Member Montez, maybe you're on your next outing, you can go visit the class and make sure it's still, under that containment, number. And if there, as the cases period are, if there changes within our own district and in our city, I know that we're going to move to, again, all of our services back from that standpoint. So I just want to say that I think that I don't feel, meaning this, and we'll still vote on it, that we should, stop this from moving forward, given that, our staff is going to make sure that all the accommodations that we need to make sure our families are safe are still there. So that was my
All right,
discussion part.
excellent. Let's go ahead and vote on everything else, unless someone has other pulls or discussion. Okay.
I think we can vote on the consent calendar as a whole. That was just a discussion that we needed to make sure we
Yes, but
bring aware.
we vote on everything typically and then come back and discuss it more if we need to. But,
Unless you're okay with moving on.
Yeah, that's what I was.
You can leave it on the consent?
Yeah,
now?
I
Okay,
just wanted
excellent.
us to just, want to be clarified that
okay.
one group can't use it,
So,
another one can.
Dr. Avila, when,
And it's
after your
legitimate-
discussion,
it's
if you could get
legitimate
back with the
concerns.
board members,
Will do.
thank you.
We should definitely look into moving forward, make sure everything's safe.
Yeah, just
I'll be there tomorrow.
safety first.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Okay, we're moving forward with the entire consent calendar. And we have a motion and a second.
So move.
Second?
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Walker, how do you vote?
Aye.
O'Kelly?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
Montez?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Unanimous. Going over to F. Okay, discussion action items. Agreement with College Board. Motion and a second, please.
So moved. Second?
That was nice stereo. Approve a renewal agreement with College Board to provide the PSAT 8-9 to all 8th grade students, the PSAT NMSQT to all 10th grade students, and the SAT to all 11th grade students effective September 15th, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, at a cost not to exceed $78,540 and to be paid from the district fund. Questions, comments? Ready to vote? Okay, Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
And aye. Thank you, Board. Agreement with EduPoint. Motion and a second,
So
please.
moved.
Second?
Thank you. To approve an agreement with EduPoint for the purchase of the Inspect Item Bank to provide an English language, arts, mathematics, and science question bank for K through 12 teachers, effective September 15th, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, at a cost not to exceed $92,747 and to be paid from the general fund. Questions, comments? Ms. Walker, how do you vote?
Aye.
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 Thank you. And aye. Thank you. Unanimous, passes. Agreement with iReady Instruction from Curriculum Association, Associates. Motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. And this is to ratify a renewal agreement with Curriculum Associates for the Math and ELA iReady Instruction Program at all elementary schools and at all middle schools, effective August 12th, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, at a total not to exceed cost per site as indicated in the attachment, with an overall cost not to exceed $309,223.99 and to be paid from the general fund, Site Title I. Questions, comments? Ms. Walker, how do you vote?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Aye.
And myself, aye. I know you want to get done, but we still have to go back in closed session. But this will help.
Why do we have to go back?
Yeah,
into
right.
closed session?
We have personnel.
We didn't
Oh.
see Rhonda and Rhea yet.
No.
Really? Thanks, Rhonda.
It's all for naught.
Good.
Okay. F4, agreement with the Manhood Project, which we heard about tonight. Motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I told you that stereo's nice. To approve a renewal agreement with the Manhood Project, Inc., to provide social emotional learning support, mentor training for teachers in addition to individual parent, student, and group sessions at Myler Zupanik High Schools, effective September 9th, 2021 through June 3rd, 2022, at a cost not to exceed $50,000 and to be paid from the Comprehensive School Improvement Fund, CSI Fund. Questions, comments? Heard it's a good thing. Ms. Walker, how do you vote?
Aye.
O'Kelly?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
Montez?
Aye.
Myself?
And I just
Aye.
want to thank the teacher who came up from Myler to speak about the
Mr.
positive-
Wisman, yes?
Mr. Wisman, about the positiveness of the program, so thank him.
Yes. It's a good man. Okay, F5, tentative settlement agreement with Communication Workers of America. We also heard about this. Motion and a second, please.
So moved?
Second.
Thank you. This is to ratify the 2021 through 2024 tentative settlement agreement between Rialto Unified School District and the Communication Workers of America, CWA. Vote by board members.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. And mine is aye as well. Okay, F6, by the way, CWA, congratulations, and district, thank you, congratulations. And approval of 2020-2021 unaudited actuals. Motion and a second, please.
So
So-
moved?
Second.
Thank you. And this is to approve the 2020-2021 unaudited actuals financial report as presented. This report will be submitted under a separate cover. Questions or comments? Okay. I do have a question, but it's going to keep. I will touch base with you tomorrow. Okay. Questions? None? Okay. Ms. Walker, how do you vote?
Aye.
O'Kelly?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
Montez?
Aye.
Myself? Aye. Unanimous? And Resolution number 212210, adopting the actual 2020-2021 and estimated 2021-2022 GAN limit. Motion a second?
So moved?
Second?
Thank you. And this is to adopt resolution number 212210, declaring that the GAN limit appropriations in the 2020-2021 unaudited actuals and the 2021-2022 budget do not exceed the limitations imposed by Proposition 4 at no cost to the district. Questions, comments? All right, Ms. Walker, how do you vote?
Aye.
O'Kelly?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
Montez?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Unanimous? Thank you, Board. And resolution number 212211, remuneration. Motion a second.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. This is to adopt resolution 212211, excusing the absence of Board Member Dina Walker from the Wednesday, August 25th, 2021 regular meeting of the Board of Education. Ms. Walker?
Abstain.
Thank you.
Aye.
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 Thank you, and myself, aye. Stipulated expulsion, motion a second, please.
Move to approve?
Second.
Thank you. Case number 21222. Vote by board members, Ms. Walker.
Aye.
O'Kelly.
Aye.
Lewis.
I thought this was changed to suspension,
Mm-mm.
or is this a different?
The discussion
No,
was
they
on,
suspended the expulsions.
Okay.
So he won't be expelled, but this is just to approve the stipulated expulsion.
yeah,
Okay,
but the reason it's only numbers is so,
okay,
for privacy.
okay.
Okay, Clerk Lewis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Montez?
Aye.
Thank you, and myself, aye. Okay, we can't adjourn, but I need a motion and a second to go back into closed session.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you, and all at once, let me hear the ayes.
Aye.
And 8:55. you a minute. He's good. Okay. All right, you caught me signing papers. All right, here we go. Need a motion and a second to,
So moved.
okay.
Second.
Okay.
Don't know what.
And that's to adjourn closed session. Vote by board members all at once. Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Open session reconvened at 9:37.
Motion to reopen open session.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, and vote by board members on reopening.
Aye.
Okay, Dr. Avila, report out of closed session, please.
Yes, thank you, President Martinez. We have several. The Board of Education denied the request for an unpaid leave of absence for classified employee number 2752911 from August 10, 2021 through December 18th, 2021. The roll call vote was unanimous. The Board of Education accepted the administrative appointment of Angela Amador, Student Success Strategist. The roll call vote was unanimous. The Board of Education accepted the administrative appointment of Yvette Camarena, Student Success Strategist. The roll call vote was unanimous. The Board of Education accepted the administrative appointment of Rachel Quinn, Student Success Strategist. The roll call vote was unanimous. The Board of Education accepted the administrative appointment of Sara Ledesma, Student Success Strategist. The roll call vote was unanimous. The Board of Education accepted the administrative appointment of Betsy Mejia, Student Success Strategist. The roll call vote was unanimous. The Board of Education accepted the administrative appointment of Jesus Ochoa, Student Success Strategist. The roll call vote was unanimous. The Board of Education accepted the administrative appointment of Miriam Sanchez, Student Success Strategist. The roll call vote was unanimous. And the Board of Education accepted the administrative appointment of Joseph Williams, Community Agent, Strategic Partnerships. The roll call vote was unanimous.
Thank you, Dr. Avila, and congratulations to all the candidates. And the only thing left on the agenda is adjournment. Motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I know I can get this out of the whole room, so I'm going to do it for once because I'm allowed. Everybody in agreement to end this meeting, aye.
Aye.
Okay, be safe, everyone.
All right. Time 9:40.